the material master topic that we were discussing yesterday. Okay, let me just log. Today we were discussing, certain fields that we have in the material master, right? So we were been discussing about the material master, where the control of a particular material master lies, and what are all the different departments in general that would be involved. It's not just a responsibility of an SD or or a single department. Mainly it's a combination, like you are responsible, the sales department are responsible for the sales views. The similarly, like there is purchasing views, there are warehouse views, the finance views, okay, controlling. So different departments have different roles where they maintain the quality management and so on and so forth. So we were discussing certain fields that we had in our, let's say, in our material master. What are all the important fields that we need to know at this point of time is what we have seen from the sales point of view. Now we'll try to explore, because we would need again, there are some other fields also, like we will just try to see them in the material master. What do we have? Then post which we'll I mean from the other views as well, because those are also kind of important, and we will be getting them, we would be needing those fields when we do it in the future. There are some fields as well, something related to the classification, related to the batch, or there are some other fields we have not discussed so far, and some of the other fields during the MRP run and all, we'll discuss further more fields. But at this point of time, whatever is important is what we have discussed. But there are some other fields as well that we will be discussing, like in the material master, maybe based on the topic that we go, we'll again discuss them. Okay, so I think we had created this material. No, it's not material, this one. Okay, I'll just try to take some other material. I don't know whether this was this. We created the sales views for this. Let me go to the create mode. Let's see. Let's try to see certain purchasing views that we have here. I'll take purchasing. Text is fine, or else I'll just have. So you again give your, because I'm entering certain text, so you again need sales text that we have here. So okay, let me select some mandatory thing. Okay, I think sales text was already maintained. Similarly, they'll have something called a text that will be there. So if in case there are some materials that are relevant for some text, you need to maintain some specific text for, for some specific materials, and you want this text that you maintain here should be flowing, from your material master to your transaction data, later on to your printouts and all. Then you maintain some text here. So what is it? This text is used mainly for, let's say, from an purchasing point of view, we have something called a sales text. I think I've already maintained that view. We'll go in the change mode and see what it is there. But yeah, you have something called a sales text and purchasing text. What we maintain for our sales area, I mean for our sales orders, for our deliveries and all, we maintain sales text. Anything for related to the import process, they maintain this purchasing text that they have. So here it's here there's nothing, but there'll be some, maybe like this particular material is some sort of a fragile material, or this particular material needs to be handled in a different way than normal standard material, or it is one of some dangerous goods that you have. So you want some instructions to be given to the people how to use this particular material. You want to print some instructions saying that cautious, or some cautious messages you wanted to print for a particular material, and you want this to be printed across the different outputs that you take. So we will talk about something called a text determination, how this text, if you maintain a material master, gets copied from here to the further document. Similarly, even in customer master also, you can maintain some text. Maybe customer have some specific text that he maintain, saying that he will give some sort of a packaging instructions. He will ask, I want only in this dimensions, like the things to be packed. There will be some sort of a special instructions a customer can also give. At that time also, in customer master, we have an option to maintain some text which would be copied for the subsequent documents that we will have. Similarly here as well, in the material master, whatever is text that you'll be there, you can maintain them, which will be which could be copied from to the subsequent documents. And for that, there is something called a text determination, like how we have the partner determination, similarly, that we have discussed. Similarly, there's something called a text determination, where we will be seeing how can we copy from one place, from one document to another document. Then there is something again called an output determination, which will talk about how to print, how to send towards the customer and all. So we will talk about when we come to that particular specific topics that we have. Okay. So basically here like this, then you have this foreign trade import and foreign trade export that would be there. The foreign trade import and foreign trade export are again like related to the export and import process that you will have. So in terms of some fields that are important for an export and import process, you will be maintaining it here, like what is the country from which you are getting it, what is the EAN number of it, or the different details. But when we have the topic, we'll discuss. But at the moment, I think it's fine. It's not that important at this point of time. So let's discuss mainly in the purchasing tab that we have. So in the purchasing tab, again, the base unit of measure is what that gets copied and it comes here. Then ordering unit is again like what is the unit of order that you will be placing towards the vendor is what you'll be maintaining. The ordering unit in the sales is your sales, sales unit. Sales unit is nothing but what is the unit that you sell. Ordering unit is nothing but what is the unit that you order from a vendor. Let for suppose like maybe you will order in some bulk, in some boxes, or you order in some cartons, but you maintain in pieces, something like that you will be maintaining here. But okay, there are multiple tabs, purchasing group and all, which won't be much of very important here. So here we have this plant, SP material status, right? This acts as similar to what we have, let's say, to blocking of particular. We were saying that whenever you create it, there will be a block that happens, and when the block is there, unless and until the block is released for that particular sales organization and distribution channel, you no longer will be able to create your sales order. Similarly, on the purchase order side, if they wanted to block, they will block here, which means for this, from this particular plant, they will no longer be able to place an order towards the vendor wherever this block is there. For this material from this plant, you cannot place an order towards any vendor when this block exists. So you can maintain a particular block as well, that would be there. Then you have something called an automatic PO. So this is an important field that we will have. We will also see it further. So this automatic PO is it's like we have some processes like a third party that we call it. So basically third party is like what Amazon does it. For example, Amazon, what will Amazon do? You place an order with Amazon because that is your vendor, and what Amazon does is, for Amazon, we are the customers. Amazon will take our orders, right, and it will actually procure from its vendors, and it actually delivers to us, which means it does not, Amazon is not a right example because they have their own manufacturing as well. But if you take Alibaba as an example, the Alibaba is basically, it's purely a third party, it works like pure third party scenario, because what they do is they don't have any manufacturing, they don't have anything. What they do is they procure from a vendor, they deliver to the customers, right? So that is called a third party. Third party is where you get, again you procure from a vendor, but again, main difference that would be there from a regular, let's say, trading goods and a third party is, in terms of a third party, let's say customer places an order with a company, okay, and we procure from a vendor, but vendor directly delivers the goods to the customers, not through us. In order to, we'll discuss more about the third party when we come to the topic. But in a third party, we will have something like a customer places an order to us, and we place an order to us, a vendor, and vendor directly delivers to our customers, in order to avoid some shipping, this thing. But he will do our packing. So packaging will still be showing as our packaging, let's say Amazon, but it won't be going through Amazon, but he will be directly selling the goods towards the customer that would be there. So whenever you have such scenarios, there will be both, let's say, sales and the purchasing that would be involved, which means it starts with a sales order. Again, from a sales order, it creates a purchase requisition and a purchase order. Again, from a purchase order, there'll be a delivery. Again, from delivery, delivery towards the customer, then he generates a billing to us, then we generate a billing towards our customer. There's a process. We will discuss more about that. But it all from our sales order, what happens whenever we create, it always creates first a purchase requisition on the purchasing side, because first there will be a purchase requisition that would be created, and again from a purchase requisition there will be kind of a purchase order, but they have other processes also in between purchase order, something like after a PR they will have something for request for quotation, then comparing some quotations, then placing an purchase order. There are multiple steps that they have in the purchasing side, but they don't want to, for a particular material, whenever the sales order, whenever they have it, they never wanted to create a PR, then go through the different processes and the steps. They directly want to create a purchase order to a particular vendor. So in that case, this acts as one of the prerequisites fields to create an automatic purchase order. Whenever there are other scenarios as well on the purchasing on the MM side that we will not be discussing, where this automatic PO will be used. But from a sales point of view, what would be mainly there is like a third party process, and we have something called IPO process that we will discuss later. In those cases, you wanted to create a purchase order automatically while creating the sales order without purchase, in generally after purchase or after sales order, there will be purchase requisition on those scenarios that happens. But instead of purchase requisition, along with purchase requisition as well, you need PO to be created automatically in the background. Then you use this automatic PO as a checkbox. This is one of the prerequisite fields that you will have. Okay, so this is one of the important fields. Again, you have this batch management. The same batch management exactly is what we have discussed yesterday. It's mainly like if in case the product is relevant for batches, you'll be maintaining it here. If not, then again during creation itself you need to understand, because batch management would be there. If in case you activate at the sales level, it gets activated even at the purchasing level as well. This is mainly for the procurement side that they will have. Okay, and here the important field that you have is this automatic PO. Then then you have this GR processing time. Okay, maybe these two are fine. So GR processing time. So what is this GR processing time? So this field is mainly used again, in case of, let's say, for trading process and all. But basically GR processing time is, for example, if you're procuring a material from a particular vendor, so this particular, this specific field is in order to calculate how much time, okay, how much time that the vendor would take for, to deliver the goods from from the vendor location to our location. Basically the transit time is what that would be maintained from the vendor location to our manufacturing location whenever we are getting the goods from the vendor, because this would be this will help in performing our delivery scheduling. For example, let's say how customer has placed a sales order today. If in case you don't maintain this GR processing time, if you don't have a stock, then system has to calculate, okay, if there is no stock of such material, how much time does it take, in order to procure, how much time does it take in order to get the stock back in our location. So this is basically GR processing is, this is not talking about the complete, it's only the transit time from the vendor location to our location. How much time does it take once we place an order, whenever he starts delivering the goods, how long does it take for him to send from his location to our location? Maybe it may take, if it's in the same state, the vendor is located in the same place, it may take 1 day, or if it's a bit far away, it may take some 2 days or 3 days, right? So this field mainly controls what is the, how many days does it take to from the vendor location to our manufacturing plant or something. Then again, post inspection stock and all we have, this is mainly for the quality management that they'll be using. Again, this is from a procurement process that they have. We will not have anything to do with our source list, and all is mainly very quota arrangements. All these are very specific to the purchasing part. But GR processing time, we would be requiring it from a sales point of view, because in order for us to know, okay, if in case we don't have a stock, how much time, to confirm to the customers. So we should know we have something called a schedule lines. We will see there to confirm the quantities to the customers. This field will be helpful. Okay, for those materials that does not have a stock. So here automatic PO and GR processing time, these two fields would be kind of important. Okay, then I'll go to MRP. What is an MRP? MRP is nothing but it's something called a material requirement planning. So basically here, if in case, like, MRP is the one that controls, like, once you place a sales order, whether the stock, like, whenever, let's say, whenever a customer places a sales order, the ERP system, the beauty of the ERP system is basically to know, like, you have different departments that are involved. For example, if a customer places a sales order today, so he should be able to know, like, whenever you place a sales, or whenever you place a particular order in Amazon or any other place, you will be knowing by exactly by when the product would be delivered from to you. So because the system is so much integrated in terms of procurement process, or in terms of like your sales process, that you will exactly know by when you will be receiving the goods. There are some products you will not have any confirmed dates by when you will be receiving, but most of the products you will know, okay, exactly when you're receiving, when you will be receiving the goods and all. So whenever in this SAP as well, when the customer comes and he places an order, so we should give him the dates by when you can deliver the goods to him. For example, now let's say if in case there is stock available, then you can immediately confirm, okay, we can take your sales order on this day, we can be able to deliver the goods. Okay, we will say, okay, I would need, let's say, there'll be something called stock is available, you don't need to procure anything. Then you need 1 day for picking, 1 day for packing, and 1 day for some transportation. Then it would be at the customer location is what system could calculate. If in case stock is not available, then it goes to certain MRP. It sees what kind of a material, whether from the MRP is what it says, whether the purchase requisition has to be created, or a purchase order has to be created, or a production order has to be created. So what kind of a, from purchase requisition, from production order, or a purchase order. So there are, the MRP is one that facilitates, basically, like, if in case stock is not available, to send the requirements towards the purchasing team, then to see if in case by when they can procure, how many days does it take, and finally it would give the confirmation back to the customer, okay, on which date the stock is available. And all this process that we are talking, that I'm just explaining now, will happen in a split of a seconds in the SAP. So all the calculations on when the stock is available, when it can be delivered, if the stock is not available, sending sending towards the checking for the availability. If availability is not there, transferring some 10 requirements towards the purchase requisitions or a purchase orders. Then like this, the multiple processes that we have, all the steps that happens in the background will be kind of let's say will be happening in kind of some seconds. All these different departments that would be involved, the different process, the different ways of conforming towards the customer happens in matter of some seconds. Is less than a minute is what system would take. But you need to set up all these things. So this MRP is the one that would facilitate these kind of material requirement planning, is to plan for certain materials. If the stock is not available, creating some purchase orders automatically and everything, if in case there are certain things that they have. So these department is mainly responsible for all these kind of activities that they'll have. Okay, so here we'll be talking about mainly certain fields that we have in this MRP, which would be kind of an important fields that we will be knowing. Okay, uh, okay, so now here in the MRP, again the base unit of measure, all this would be there. Okay, we have here something called an MRP group. uh, like we have something called, whenever we try to create any sales order, when we try to create any sales order, we would have not maintained any of that, because as of now nothing has been maintained. But let's say whenever we create some sales orders in the SAP system, if you just go here, here we have something called a requirement type, which is kind of blank at the moment because we have not determined any strategy at this point of time. So we'll again talk about what is this requirement type during the availability check and transfer of requirements topic. We will be having something called a requirement type. So it's basically like how okay, I'll explain in detail when we come to the topic. At the moment might be a bit confusing. So this MRP group will help to determine this requirement type automatically. At the moment you can just remember this in your sales orders. We have this something called this requirement type. So in order to determine this requirement type, this MRP group would be used. Okay, so this is one of the field that we will be using it. Then okay, remaining are all specific to the purchasing and procurement part. We don't need to worry much. Then the next one we have is a MRP type. MRP type is what that will say whether, okay, this parameter will help you to understand whether we need to do some planning or not for this material. There are some materials where we would like to send it towards the customers to do I mean send it towards the department, to the MRP departments, to do some planning if in case stock is not available, to create the purchase requisitions or to create the purchase orders automatically based on MRP runs that we will have. But again, like maybe if in case I select it as ND, then it will be no planning. Okay, if there is PD, then it will be kind of a planning that would be there. Apart from that, we have multiple other one as well, like automatic reorder point. So there is something called a seasonal MRP and all. We will talk about it, some of the things that we have later. But at the moment, ND means no planning, which means there is no planning that is required. PD means there will be a planning for this material that would be there. Okay, so what will this help us? So this is one of the parameters. Again, the MRP type is also one of the parameters to determine your requirement type. So this will also help in the determining the requirement type. There are multiple ways to determine a requirement type. One is a MRP group, that will also help. If not, there will be something called MRP type with some other combination. We will discuss later with the combination of some other thing will help you to determine this requirement type. And also it also helps in schedule and if you just go here, if you just double click or if you select your line item and click on this item details, here you will have something called a schedule line that you have. We'll talk about what is the schedule line and all. So in this schedule line, it will also help you to determine your schedule line category. So here everything will have some schedule line category that is here. This MRP type is one of the prerequisite, MRP type in combination with other we will just discuss. So this MRP type will also help in determining this schedule line category. It is very important to determine, to get a schedule line category in. What is the schedule line category and all, we'll talk. But at the moment, just understand this prerequisites that are required. So MRP type will be help to determine some requirement type, with a combination, and also it would help in determining this schedule line category as well in your sales documents. This is also with the help of the MRP type is what we can be using. Okay. Then you have this reorder point. All this is mainly from an MM point of view. They'll be maintaining when the stock is not available. Okay, what is a reorder point? What is a minimum? Okay, all this is not from an SD point of view that we will be focusing on. But yeah, for you, the MRP group and MRP type is something that would be important for us to know. So MRP group is mainly to determine something called a requirement. If I just go back here, if you go to this, click on, you have something called a requirement type. It will help you to determine this requirement type, and MRP type will also help you in a combination with something else that we will discuss later. Will be determining this requirement type, and it also helps in determining your schedule line category. Okay, just understand this, but we'll talk in detail about what it is, how it will be done during that particular topic that would be there. Okay, these two are important from an SD point of view. Then okay, then you have something called procurement type. Again, this procurement type X will be helpful if in case this particular material, this procurement type is what which controls whether this particular material is produced internal. There are some materials, you produces internally in your plant. There are some materials you procure it from a vendor, right? So you're just saying this particular materials, is it something that you are procuring from an external vendor, or it is something that you will be producing internally in some plants and you will be procuring, or whether it is relevant for both internal procurement and for your external procurement. So here we are saying E means it's an in-house production. In-house production means if in case the stock is not available, then it will be a production order. We won't be sending towards the vendor for for this material. Maybe for the raw material we may reach out to the vendor, but for this finished good, so you need, you will be actually, you're the manufacturer who are mainly responsible to to make this particular product. So if in case the stock is not available, it will be a production order where you manufacture this particular material. If in case if it's an external procurement, then which means you never will produce this internally in your plant. You always procure it from the external vendor. So whenever this finished good is not available, so you reach out to a vendor, then vendor will send this good to you, where you will be again delivering to the customer or using for your own purpose, whatever it is. So in-house production means it's only when you select it as E, then it is only the only the production that happens, or only the manufacturing that would happen. And if it's an external procurement, which means you would be able to procure only from an external vendor, there won't be any in-house production. If you maintain it as X, then both procurement types are possible, which means you can either produce it internally. If it's not there, you can also procure it externally. Both are possible if you select it as X. Okay, so this procurement type mainly controls whether it is the in-house production, or whether it is external procurement, or the both procurement is what it controls. Okay, so this is what it controls here. Then again here, if in case if it's an internal production, in-house production, how much time does it take for you to produce it internally is what you can maintain it here. Okay, number of days that it takes. Okay, so this will be taken into account whenever you are producing it internally. Whenever there's a production order, how much time you need, how many days does it take for you to produce this particular material, again, so that you can deliver to the customer, is what that would be maintained in this in-house production. Okay, then we have something called a GR processing time. So GR processing time is, for example, once we produce the goods, once we manufacture the goods, how much time it takes for you to to keep the stock in the unrestricted use. Unrestricted use means there is no restriction on that particular stock. So this is a processing time that it takes. It's a total number of days that is required to keep the stock in an unrestricted. Basically what happens, it can be your let's say it can be from an external vendor, or it can be in your in-house production. So basically what happens, after you produce, after the goods arrive, so at the particular location, so you won't be immediately taking the stock in your account. So basically what happens is there will be some sort of quality checks that happens in some of the materials. Again, if there is no GR processing time, it's well and good. But if in case you have quality management that is coming into picture, where you always take the stock first in some quality management stock, or you actually first block those particular materials, and you will do some quality inspection to check if in case the materials are good, then you will be actually taking into your unrestricted stock. First you will be taking into some block stock, then you wanted to get into, this is how that happens from a procurement point of view. So they whenever they're procuring some materials, or even from production order, there'll be some quality management and all that comes into picture. They say they first check the stock before it is available for the customers to deliver to the customers. So this GR processing time is mainly talking about the time that takes, once the goods are manufactured or procured, how much time does it take to get the stock in the unrestricted use. So from a restricted use, or from a, how much time does it take to get the stock in your unrestricted use is what you'll be maintaining. So what is the time that takes to process this particular material and get the stock into the unrestricted use is what you will be maintaining here. Okay, right. Then here one of the important fields that we have is we have something called safety stock. Safety stock. Safety stock means safety stock, and this minimum safety stock means safety stock is a stock that that needs to be maintained, because we will be in generally asking this kind of question as well. What is a safety stock? What does a what does a safety stock does? This is also important point. Or we can also have how many different types of procurement types that are available, and so on and so forth. So basically the safety stock that we have here is a minimum stock, okay, at that particular plant. The minimum stock in the particular plant has to be maintained, in order to tackle certain future requirements, emergency requirements that you will have. So basically, whenever you maintain some safety stock, let's say 100 pieces or 1000 pieces, basically the stock level cannot go below that particular, it cannot go below that particular safety stock that you maintain. So it's basically, you will say, okay, I wanted to maintain some safety stock of, let's say, some 1000 pieces. Then if in case the stock goes below, then there will be some warning, and also it will take into your availability check. The safety stock will also be taken into account, whether the stock now, because if you don't maintain safety stock, what happens? You don't want to, let's say, you don't, whenever you place an order towards the customers, if in case this, if there are some, let's say, customer places an order of some 500 pieces, and you have 1000 pieces as a safety, if you don't have the safety stock, indicator, but you wanted to maintain minimum 1000 as a stock. So what happens? Whenever customer places an order, system will know, okay, there are some 1000 pieces, so 500 I'll deliver to the customer. Then your safety stock will actually come down. And again, if the safety stock come down, then you have automatic production orders to be created, or automatic purchase orders. But that's again a different procurement process that we have. But this safety stock, let's say, if in case there is stock is available and during your customer places an order, you don't want to take safety stock into consideration whenever the availability check happens and all. You don't want to, you don't want to include this safety stock. So if in case customer places an order of 500, if in case 1000 stock is maintained, is there, and you have 1000 as your safety stock, which is basically means, okay, I don't want to I don't want to consider this 1000 stock, and I would say, okay, there is no stock available, and we will directly create a purchase requisition or a purchase order from the MRP. So in generally, you will not consider the safety stock whenever you run this availability check, whenever the MRP towards the customer, because this is the stock that you maintain to meet some future emergencies. If in case there is some material that you wanted to maintain that you would be requiring very urgently in the future, you wanted to make sure that there is some stock available to meet some emergencies, then you maintain some safety stock there. So how much stock is what? We will be maintaining it in here. And during, whenever we create our sales order, whenever the availability check happens, then this safety stock will not be taken into account. Again, there is a configuration setting in the availability check to consider the safety stock or not. But again, that we will see. But in generally, we will not consider this safety stock whenever whenever the MRP run that happens. Okay. So this is one of the important fields that you will have. These are all not specific to okay. Then in the MRP3, here we have, in the MRP3 we have something called a strategy group. Strategy group. This strategy group, it specifies whether the material is make to order or make to stock. So basically certain materials would be there. You will produce it, then the customer will order the goods. But there are some specific customizing material that you have, which means the material is not initially produced. So material basically it's make to order, means the customer will place an order with a specification on how he requires. For example, a big industries that they will have like HUL and all, or the HAL. So whenever they procure it, it's according to their specifications, what they need, how they need, and everything that they they ask. So it's basically you're saying whether it's a make to order or make to stock. So basically, like you will have different strategy groups that would be involved. So this field is mainly controlling that whether this material is a make to order material or it is a make to stock material. Okay, so this field will again help to determine the requirement type in the sales document. Like uh, where is it required? Again, this field is also one of the fields to determine this requirement type. Okay, the strategy group that would be there in the during the sales document. So as I mentioned, now when I'm talking about, I'm saying that to determine this requirement type, okay, I'm saying the strategy group is used. To determine the requirement type, I'm saying the MRP group will be used. I'm saying also the MRP type will also be used to determine the requirement type and all. But we will discuss in in detail. But basically, whenever during the sales or during the sales order document, to determine this requirement type, so first preference will be given to the strategy group. The first preference is to the strategy group. If in case there is a strategy group that is that could determine it, then the requirement type will get first determined from your strategy group first. If in case strategy group does not exist, then system will check for the MRP group. But we'll discuss it. But just giving because I've been mentioning for everything requirement type. So just to clarify, the first preference is to the strategy group. If in case strategy group it's not able to determine the requirement type, there's nothing that is maintained, then you'll go to the MRP group and see if there is something maintained. If in case the MRP group also there is nothing maintained, then you will go with the combination of MRP type plus item category. The third preference is to the MRP type and item category. Okay, the item category, what is an item category and all, we'll discuss a bit later, but we have seen already something called an item category group. Okay, I think we also spoke about something during the sales order TAN and all, right? I said like from norm is an item category group that you will have. Then you have here something called TAN, that gets determined. This is called item category. But with this combination of this item category and the MRP type, then you will be able to determine this requirement type. If in case none of these are maintained, the combination, the requirement type will be blank. It won't be determined anything. So if in case there are, first is a strategy group. If in case strategy group is not there, then MRP group. If in case MRP group is not there, then the MRP type and the item category will help you to determine the requirement type. But yeah, we will see it when we come to the topic. But what is a strategy group? Basically, it will help you to specify whether the material is a make to order or a make to stock kind of a material that it will have. But all this that we are discussing, they're not mandatory to maintain or anything. It's just the some of the fields that we have according to the business requirement. We could say whether we wanted to use it or whether it's usable or it's not usable. Okay. All right. Then yeah, next is an availability checker. So this is an important field. Again, this is one of the important fields that we will be having to to deliver, to send it to the to transfer to particular to the MRP and all. This plays an important role. Whether you would like to transfer the materials daily or individually, which means as soon as you create a sales order, do you want to send it towards MRP, or you collectively take all the sales order for that particular materials then send it towards MRP. So this availability check is one of the important fields that we will have. How do you transfer your requirements of a particular materials towards MRP? is what that will be maintaining, whether it is daily requirement or whether it's an individual requirement, order to order, we'll be maintaining it here. Okay, then here you have total replenishment lead time. Okay, total replenishment lead time. So this is the time, if you maintain this total replenishment lead time. So it is the time, it is a total time that is taken. For example, like from a particular vendor how much time he needs to manufacture the goods, or if in case there is no stock, from your production team how much time you will be knowing to produce the goods. Then uh, you know how much time total it would take. Let's say maybe to produce the goods or to procure the goods we need 2 days. Then again, to do some quality checks we need some 1 day. Then again, to get into the stock into the unrestricted use, and again some lead time, all this time total it may take some 4 days. So this total replenishment lead time, so we have discussed independently the other fields that we were saying. We were saying, okay, GR processing time means, in order to take into the unrestricted stock that we will have. And we were just saying the planned delivery time, how much time does it take, to produce it internally, or, to get it delivered. So these are all the separately we have seen, for the separate dates that would be maintaining. But this total replenishment lead time is talking about all the fields that we have discussed. It's like the total time that takes to manufacture the goods, or to procure the goods, then do all the quality checks and take the stock into the unrestricted use. So this field will help you know to perform your delivery scheduling. Like, whenever you go here, at the moment, whenever I just double click here, so there is no confirmed quantity, there is no delivery date. That system has not confirmed any quantities because there is no stock. But in order to get this delivery dates in your schedule line by when it can be delivered to the customer, overall together we can use this total replenishment lead time. If I maintain 5 days or 10 days, if in case stock is available, to produce it or to procure it, and again to do all the quality inspection until you get the stock into the unrestricted use, the total time that takes is what that will be maintaining it as total replenishment lead time. The total time system would take, you know to get the stock into the unrestricted use. Okay, this is what you will have in the MRP3 that are important. Okay, these are all not nothing too specific to sales. Then let's go to plan data 1, storage bin, temperature conditions, or all that. Okay, uh, it's just that again we have something called okay, temperature conditions. So if in case a material has to be maintained in some specific temperatures, let's say it has to be maintained in some -40, -20. If in case some injections or something, some vaccinations that you will have, which needs to be maintained at a specific temperature, then you will maintain for that particular material what is the temperature condition that would be required here. Then again you have something called the storage conditions. The storage conditions is again in your what kind of a storage that you would be requiring, whether it's kind of, again it is talking about whether you wanted to keep it in refrigerator, or you wanted to keep it in certain humid conditions, or you wanted to keep it in normal conditions. Whatever it is, you can maintain something called a storage conditions. Again, temperature conditions is in that storage what is the temperature that needs to be maintained. But storage condition means it's basically like, how what kind of a storage that you wanted to do, whether you wanted to freeze it, or you wanted to uh, let's say keep it you wanted to keep it at some humid conditions, or maybe at some what kind of conditions that you have, you will be maintaining the storage conditions that you will have here. Okay, and this storage conditions will be useful in order to determine your now we were seeing some plant and storage location and all, right? So we have a plant, in the plant there are some storage locations. So whenever I create a sales order, I just go back. Whenever I create a sales order and all, so there will be a plant that would be that will be entering in the sales order. And again, let's say whenever you're creating your delivery against this particular sales order, whenever you're creating some outbound delivery against the sales order, storage location is mandatory, which means from which storage location you wanted to deliver the goods. So the storage location becomes mandatory for you to understand. Okay, from which storage location you wanted to deliver the goods towards the customer. So you may have multiple storage locations, so you need to give storage location as well as mandatory, while creating the delivery document. I think I will not have anything at this point of time. Let's say if I try to create change, I don't think there will be any delivery that would be there, but yeah, let me take some existing deliveries. I'll just take just for an example. We'll talk about all this. So you will have, whenever you go to this picking, there is something called a storage location also that gets that gets determined. Here you need to give the storage location manually in your delivery documents. But if you want to get this storage location automatically, the storage location should also come automatically while you're creating your delivery documents. This storage condition plays an important role. The storage conditions here will place the important. This is one of the prerequisite fields to determine your storage location automatically. Okay, to determine the storage location automatically during your delivery document, this storage condition will be used. So how is that storage location? The storage location get determined automatically. If you want the storage location to get determined automatically, then it will be with the help of storage conditions. Okay, then you have your shipping point, then your plant. The combination of the plant, shipping point, and the storage conditions will help you to determine your storage location automatically. Okay. Okay, but because we are in the, because we spoke already about the enterprise structure, so maybe if you want to do that, I'll also just show you the path in SPRO. Just go to your SPRO in order to do the configuration. Go into the logistics execution. Go to shipping. Then in the picking, here you will have determine picking location. Inside here you will have assign picking location. So picking location is nothing but your storage. So picking location is nothing but your storage location. So the shipping point plus plant plus storage condition will help you to determine the storage location automatically during your delivery document. If you maintain this combination here in this path, then the storage location gets determined automatically. When you create your if you want to determine the storage location automatically, then this is the configuration that would be required. Okay, so this storage condition is one of the prerequisite fields that you will have in order to determine your storage location automatically. Again, the temperature conditions also we use it in the storage conditions, as I mentioned, because you say refrigerator, then you will say what temperature that you maintain. Maybe you say some storage condition as some humid, then what is that, what is the level, maybe 40 degrees, 50 degrees, what is that you need to maintain. So and this is the point where you can also define your own storage conditions, whether it's a refrigerator or humid, whatever you want to define your storage conditions. And it's just accordingly we'll be just assigning those storage conditions with the combination of plant and the shipping point that you will have in the next one. Okay, that is one of the field that you will have here called the storage conditions that you have. Okay, and again the temperature conditions as we mentioned. Then again batch management, here we have it's the same thing. So again, from a plant point of view, if you activate batch at one level, it will be activated at all the level that you will have. So uh, that should be fine. Then here you have uh, like some shelf life periods, like the maximum storage period or the remaining shelf life period. Maybe you are procuring from a particular vendor, maybe it already took some 1 month, maybe the product would expire in, let's say, 1 year. uh, then what is left, maybe is it 11 months left, or whatever is the minimum, the remaining shelf life that you maintain. Similarly, the total shelf life is basically like from the time it manufactured, like number of days it takes to expire. So the total shelf life is like you'll maintain in days. So total number of days that you take in the for the shelf life that you will have. Again, here all that above, it's controlling whether it's days, years, or months, or weeks. If you want to say it will expire in some 10 months, or it will expire in 1 year, or it will expire in 10 years, or you wanted to maintain in days, or you wanted to maintain in year, months, or week, you could control, and you could maintain total shelf life that would be there for that particular product. Again, it will be maintained from a procurement point of view whenever it is coming to picture from there. But yeah, for us, mainly the storage conditions here, that is mainly important, that we will need it. Okay, now let me go to at the moment accounting 1 tab. So here in the accounting 1, so we have something called the valuation class. Okay, so this is important, this valuation class. You need to maintain this valuation class in order to determine your GL account. During your inventory document, which means whenever you're whenever you're doing your post goods issue, whenever you're creating your delivery document. Let's say I have here one of the delivery I have taken as an example, right? I go to this particular document for which one second. Everything has been completed. If I just go to this document flow, so I have okay, there's no okay, there's no accounting document. Okay, there is something called a material document that gets generated. We'll talk about what is it and all. And along with material document, there will be some accounting document also that gets generated. The accounting document, there will be some GL accounts that would be assigned. So this valuation class will help you to determine the GL accounts, which GL accounts to be posted. This GL accounts, which GL accounts to be posted and all. This is called GL accounts. This is mainly from a finance point of view that they maintain. But in order to determine the GL accounts, this valuation class would be helpful. So it will help to determine the GL accounts while posting the values to the in the inventory management. Okay, so whenever you're doing the PGI, whenever there is something called post goods issue that you do in the delivery, we will talk about it in detail. So whenever you're doing, whenever you do some you create some sales order, you create some delivery document. In the delivery document, you do something called a post goods issue here. Post goods issue means like you have sent it from your location. There's something called a post goods issue. This is not enabled because you have already done this. You have already done the post goods issue here, so it comes disabled. So this is a post goods issue. Once it is done, then there will be something called a material document that gets posted. We'll talk about in detail about this. This is called some material document, which will have what is a good that you have delivered, what was the movement type, to the reduce the stock or to increase the stock, everything that controls through something called a movement type. So once you deliver the goods to the customer, there's something called an accounting document also that gets generated. An accounting document, you have something called a GL accounts that gets assigned here. Which account to debit, which account to credit, they'll maintain inventory. So here, in order to in order for this GL account to get determined automatically, you need this particular field called valuation class. So this valuation class will help to determine it automatically. Okay, so There'll be some valuation class that would be determined, and we'll be maintaining the what is the valuation class for finished goods, what is the valuation class that would be there. It could it can be maintained, but it's just for you to know that if in case there is no valuation class, then you cannot get the GL account. But what valuation class to be assigned and all, it's up to the finance that they give, and it's an integration topic between mainly between MM and FI than SD and FI. Okay. So, but what we should know is, in order for you to determine this, it is in order for you also to determine this valuation class, it is very important, for the GL accounts, it is very important to have the valuation class to be maintained. And we will again complete, but what is very important is, whenever the sports goods issue that has been done, now this GL account is there. So we will have some questions to you, in generally, what is an accounting document that gets generated, okay, once the post goods issue has been done. So this is a kind of a question that you should know the answer. So what is accounting document that gets generated? This is an accounting document that gets generated, but here okay, here I think the accounting is wrong because they posted both to the same account, but okay, it's 99 and 89, right? 99 stock outward movement. Okay, stock inward movement. Mm, that's okay, I think this account. So whenever you generate, whenever post goods issue is done, again we'll come to this, whenever the PGI is done, the accounting document along with the inventory document that you need to know is, it's what is an accounting document that gets generated. You should know cost of goods account, we'll say cost of goods account would get debit, and inventory account, I would say to, this is how they write in finance, cost of goods account debit to inventory account credit. Cost of goods account debit to inventory account credit is the accounting entry. Just remember this, whenever there's a PGI that happens, what is an accounting entry that gets generated? Whenever the delivery document is done along with the inventory document, it's cost of goods account debit to inventory account credit. What accounts get debited, what account gets credited is what we'll be maintaining here. It's something that you should know, because these are some questions we'll ask. Once the invoice is generated, what is the accounting document that gets generated? Once the PGI is done, what is the accounting document that gets generated? So there are multiple, I'll also explain, if in case of returns, what is an accounting document that gets generated? In case of credit memo, what is an accounting document? If in case of debit memo, what is an accounting document? We'll talk about when we come to the projects, but at the moment, because we came to this topic, I just explained, but we'll be talking again in detail about, what is the account that gets debited, what is the account that gets created and all. But okay, anyway, this valuation class will help you to determine the GL accounts while you do, when you post the inventory document or once you do the PGI. Okay. Then you have here price control. Price control is the one that it tells whether it's a standard price or a moving average price. This is a cost price of a particular product that would be maintained, whether it's a standard price or a moving average price. But in generally, let's say if in case you are the manufacturer of this particular product, you're the one who will be actually producing this particular product, then you will know exactly, you will have a fixed cost, so you will exactly know what is what how much what how much it takes to to produce this particular material, like what is the cost that is involved in order to produce a particular material, you will be knowing it. But if in case you're procuring from a third party vendor, the price may be different. Sometimes from one vendor, when you're procuring, the cost would be different. From another vendor, when you're procuring, the cost would be different, so it will be keep on changing. So this price control is mainly saying the cost of a particular product, whether it is a moving average price. Moving average price means it keeps changing, because according to the purchase orders that are created, it takes the latest purchase order, there's some calculation that happens. So it keeps changing, so the cost price is not fixed for you. And if you maintain it as standard price, then the cost price is fixed for you. But it's a moving average price, then the cost price is not fixed for you. Okay, so we maintain this cost of this particular product here, uh, in the material master, and this cost gets determined, like we have some condition types that we have. So what is the cost of a product, that gets determined as well. If you want it to be seen, to calculate your profit, so this will help you to know, what is the price that you need to sell. Let's say now your cost price is 100 rupees, then maybe you keep some 40% profit, then you sell to the customer as 140 rupees. Okay, so this cost price will help you to determine your to sell the product. Or maybe you can see, maybe moving average price is, again, it keeps changing. So maybe during one procurement it can be one rate, during another procurement it can be another rate, but we will we will always negotiate with the vendor what is the price and all, but it's a different story. But the cost is not fixed at the moment. You just need to understand, moving average price, the cost is not fixed. It will be keep on changing according to the purchase orders that would be created towards the vendor and all. And the cost of a product they'll be maintaining during the goods receipt, whenever they're receiving the goods from a procurement. And standard cost is, you will know exactly what is the cost that is involved to produce this particular material. Most of the cases it will be moving average price, because the cost will not be fixed. It may be, it might be different according to the place where we are manufacturing, and the different conditions that would be involved from where it needs to be delivered. The cost might be different. But if in case, if you are the manufacturer, then you can have the standard price, because you exactly know this is a cost that would take for me to produce this particular material. So for me, then my price would be kind of okay. Adding my profit to my cost will determine my price. That would be kind of a standard way that you can maintain. Clear on these fields?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Dinesh.
Okay. Now these are all the different fields that we have, but again, we have seen only because let's say we were okay, I'll maintain it as can just maintain it here. Now let's just see, this is again okay, but let's go. We'll just see, this is all what we maintain the material master level, but in the backend configuration of a material master. Now let's go to the backend configuration. Let's go to SPRO. SPRO, the main control and everything will be done by the, let's say, from the MM team. It's not from us that you determine it, but just for your knowledge. So you go to this logistics general, go to material master. In the material master, go to this basic settings. Okay. In the basic settings, go to this material types. Okay. Then go here, define attributes of material types. The first setting that you will have, I wanted to show you. So this is where you determine your material type that you select. Now, while creating a particular material, I was telling you, whenever you give this particular material, the material type, FERT, then we have that HAWA, or we have discussed about multiple material types that we have here, right, that we will be using. So all these material types, or the one that would be controlling, whether it's internal number range or an external number range and all, but everything would be there in this particular setting. So if I just go to FERT, the material type, here it will have details of it. What is my field reference, what is, if this material type is blocked or not, the item category group that is coming automatically, what views that needs to be selected, everything that would be, it is controlled by the help of this material type. So maybe let's say if I just copy, and if I just create a new material type called simply just create this presenter. Okay, this one. In my material type, I go into the detail. Let's say my material type, this is a particular material. It's kind of a raw material which I'll never sell it to sales. Example, example. I'm just saying I'll never sell it to sales. Then if I just remove this, uh, here we have, where is sales? I remove this sales views here. If I created a new material type called ZFRT. I save it and I remove this sales. I remove this sales. Now if I try to create some material, let's say MM01 with this new material type called ZFRT, just simply I'll say maybe some retail. Now you can see here the sales views are gone. There are no sales order, sales general, the sales OC2, all those views are not there because I have not selected for this material type. Maybe for raw materials, you don't need sales views because you're never gonna sell some raw materials toward the sales. Then you'll not maintain. Or maybe you don't have warehouse. Now I have this warehouse management and all. I don't have any warehouse management in my in my company. I will never maintain anything called a quality management. Now here quality management is also there. I never maintain my quality management and warehouse management. I don't have such process. I remove it and save it. So I mean for this particular material, I'm saying for this particular material type. Now if I just go to MM01 and if I just select this ZFRT and if I click enter, you can see here now there's no sales view, there's no warehouse management. This execution planning is part of shipping that it comes. There is no quality management views, none of it is existing here. So basically like this user departments, which departments are there, which departments are not there, will be controlled by your material type. Then whether the material is in externally procured or internal procurement will be controlled by here. And by an average, the price control, whether it's a moving average price or a standard price, you can maintain either at the material let's say a material type level, or you can also maintain it as a material level. For example, I have given the default as item category as norm here. So whenever I try to okay, I don't have a sales view right now. If I try to sales view and save it, now if I just come to /n mm01, so if I just go into the mm01, if I just create with this new material, if I select this sales org view, just simply I will not save it. So you can see here norm is coming by default. I did not enter it. How it is coming? Because we maintain it at the material type level. So material type level, anything that you maintain, it is applicable for all the all the materials inside that particular material type. So but you have other field reference, the reference material type and all. These are all mainly related to the MM, so we don't need to mainly worry about them. But it's again, these are all the one that controls which fields to make mandatory, which fields to make optional and all that we would be there. That's a different story. We'll talk about in detail. So at the moment, item category group is okay, and the views, the departments that you have, you can also control. Then here you have external number assignment without check. Okay, so because now if I try to enter any of the particular, whenever I try to create MM01, I enter any random material code, system is allowing me to do this random material code. It creates a material with that particular material code. Okay, how is this being controlled? Is because you have mentioned here external material, external number range assignment without check, which means whenever you enter an external number range, there is no check that needs to be done what is that is maintained. So it is important that we check this in order for all the external number range that we give. If you don't maintain this, now I remove this MM01. If I just go here, if I try to create it with some random number, system will throw an error saying that no external number range for this material has been maintained. For an internal number range, it's well and fine, because internal number range system will generate a number. There's no problem. But if you maintain any external number range, then you're just saying that you don't need the you're just maintaining, saying that okay, uh, there is no check that happens. So guys, just give me 1 minute. You can still hear me, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. So this is mainly
Yes.
with control, whether this external number range without check, mainly saying whenever you maintain some external number range, you don't need from that particular number range that you maintain, you can have it anything that would be, you can enter anything. But again, this number range, these controls mainly from an MM point of view that we will, we have it. Uh, but just just for the information, just explaining so that it will be helpful for you to create your own material types as well. But very important is, here we have something called quantity and the value updater. So because these are all the fields that would be helpful, these are all the, here this is a setting that is very much important to understand in your plant. Whenever you're storing the, whenever you're procuring the goods from a vendor, whenever you're storing the, the stock in your warehouse, this is very important to understand in your plant whether you wanted to keep the stock at quantity as well as the value level or not. For example, my valuation area is nothing but your plant. Okay, valuation area, always remember, is your plant. In the side, they control valuation area as plant. Now for example, my plant is BAJ1. If I'm just saying, when it is BAJ1 and the material type is this, for all the materials in this material type, I will have this quantity update and the value update, which means I will maintain the stock for this particular material, in as well as I will maintain value, means what is the value of my stock. Maybe the total value of my stock is 1 crore or 10 crores. How will we know? Based on the quantity or total quantity that I maintain, it will be like 10,000 pieces or 1 lakh pieces. So whether you wanted to maintain the stock of this material or not, or whether you wanted to have a value against it or not, will be controlled here. So it is a combination of the plant and the material type. You will maintain whether quantity update and a value update is required or not. So if you just maintain only the quantity and the value and no value update, this will be used for those materials maybe you wanted to use for your own consumption purpose. Maybe you are producing some raw materials where you wanted to have some quantity that you need to be maintained, but you don't want to maintain any value against it. Or maybe there are some materials, let's say some packaging materials and all, where you don't want to value them because you just wanted to see it in a quantity to say, okay, how much I have, how much I don't have, but you don't want to do any value against it. Because it's fine because because that's not your business, or you don't want to see what is the value of those materials, packaging materials, then you will not check this value update. Again, these are all controlled by the by the material management team. During the discussions, they will be the one who will be initiating all these talks with the with the client, whether for this material type and for this, what if it's only quantity update or a value update that is required, or both are not required, or both are required. So this is a talk that would happen with them, but this is an information where it is controlled. Because when we are now when we are creating our scenario, whenever we are creating now the sales order, if you don't have this quantity update and the value update, then the stock does not get updated in your the stock does not get updated in your in your warehouse if you don't have the quantity update. If in case there is no value update, then this GL account does not get determined for you as well. So for you to so whenever you create your material type or anything, but whenever you use a standard, then it will automatically get copied. It will be checked whenever you copy and create. If it's not there, come to the material type that you're using and just make sure that against your plant and the material type, this quantity update and the value update is checked so that you can run your scenario. Okay. And if you want to create your own material type like this, copy it and create, so that rest of the things also gets copied automatically. But we like we can if you want to discuss, but we'll talk about it in detail, but it's not very much important for us. It's just a diversion of a topic. You can create your own number ranges, and how do you assign this number range to your material type, and all this, might be it's not very much relevant for us, but if you want to know, try to explore, and if you have some questions, ask me. But I can explain, because I also do MM. So, but it's not very relevant. It's not very much important from an SD point of view. But yeah, try to, if you want to create, you can create your own material, and you can use it as well. So this is the basic settings that we will have. And again, let's say now, okay, rest of the things, no need to worry at the moment, because they will be kind of very they're kind of very specific to material. How do you make it mandatory, optional, all that, it might be a bit complicated at this point of time, so let's not discuss all that. And again, it's not even your job to maintain all that. So as an SD consultant, you don't need to even worry about all this, but yes, it's good to know, for sure. Okay, so if you want to create your own material type, go to the logistics general, material management, basic settings, then you have material types, then you can define your attributes for your material types. Okay, then similarly, let's say if you want to okay, I think it's fine. So because these are all it will be more specific to MM. Yeah, so that is these are the fields that you will have in your material master. And if you want to create your material master, you can go to here and change the material type, and you can you just copy and create, and you can use your own material type as well. But at the moment, might be, if you want to use some of the standards, please try to use the standard material types that you have. For us, we will be mainly dealing with, at this point of time, for most of our testing, we'll be mainly dealing with either with FERT or with HAVA. So these are all the two that we will be mainly using them. But when we come to some packaging topic, then we'll use this. When we come to some BOM, some configuration item, we'll come to this schema and all. But for regular sales order, delivery and all, we'll be using either FERT or HAVA. Clear? Any questions?
Dinesh, I have just one question.
Mm-hmm.
This is like related to that field automatic purchase order. Is
Right.
that field exclusively used for third party sales, or it doesn't have an effect on third party sales?
No, it does not have any effect on a third party sales. It's like if you want to create your purchase order automatically, you will use it. If not, you will create a purchase requisition. From purchase requisition, there'll be a purchase order that gets created. So it does not have any impact. If you want to create a purchase order automatically, then you use this PO, so that even the PO gets generated automatically in case of third party order, because or else you need to create a PR. From PR there'll be a PO that would be created, right? So as a general process, so it's not only used for third party. Again, from an MM point of view as well, there are, if in case the vendors are fixed, and there is something called an MM. They maintain something called a source list and all. If in case they are fixed, and there is a source list that is existing, then you have a transaction code where you convert your PRs into PO automatically. So you use on some back jobs and all, you use them. So even they use that automatic PO. If in case there are some fixed things for that particular material and the vendor is known, and there's a negotiation with the vendor, this automatic PO will help to create purchase orders automatically from a PR. Similarly, for our third party as well, we can use that field you know uh, to create a PO automatically. If not, then you will have the PR to be created. From PR, you need to convert the PR into a PO. It's one of the prerequisite fields that you will have, but you have automatic PO in the other places as well. So for an automatic PO, the one of the place that you have is in the material master.
Okay, so if that indicator is checked, then after creating a sales order, a purchase order will be created automatically.
Correct. Purchase order can be created automatically if it's there. You don't want you want directly a PO to be created. then you use this. Again, purchase order is created automatically means again the PR would be there, from PR and a PO. So you don't need to convert it manually to a PO. Basically, what
Okay.
happens from PR you convert to a PO, but here the PO also gets created automatically in the background.
Okay. So both will be created. Okay.
Yeah.